Hi everyone, it's Nate and welcome back to Elevate with Nate, the place where we're all about learning, self-improvement and motivation, and where I discuss something new that I've learned in the last 24 hours, and I encourage you to leave in the comments what you've learned in the last 24 hours. So, in today's episode, we're going back to a topic to do with fitness, and it's going to be on HIIT training. Okay, that's HIIT, high intensity interval training. So, what is HIIT training? And you may have heard of it before. I definitely have, for many years I've heard of this, but I never actually myself looked into it or even did it. So, what is it? How it works is you have two kind of types of training in a session. You have your high intensity bits of a training session and then the low intensity sections too. So in the high intense bits, you're going to be going almost maxing out to your absolute limit. And then in the bits where you're doing low intense, that's essentially your recovery period. So let me give you an example of what this might be like in real life. And these sessions are meant to take between 10 to 30 minutes. So I'm going to give you a 30-minute example, but of course you can just minimize it afterwards. So you might have to start off with a 5-minute warm-up. Okay, it's the usual stretching, it's like running on spots, whatever you want. And then you're going to have the main 20-minute chunk. And here we have the high intense bits and the low intense bits. And for the high intense bits, look at the following. You might have 5 exercises. So the first one might be 30 seconds of jump squats. So that's good, jumping up and down. I'm not going to do it here. Can I do it here? Maybe, let's see. These kind of things. You can't see much though. But that kind of movement for 30 seconds. And you might have animation here somewhere. Then for the second exercise, you're going to have, for example, a burpee. I'm not going to do it right now, it's definitely not space, as I've just found out. But hopefully here somewhere I'll have a little animation of that, so a burpee. Then thirdly, you might have, for example, just high knees, running on the spot, knees high up, okay, that'd be third. Fourth might be some mountain climbers, okay, that's when you're in a press up position. You bring your knees up to your chest. And lastly, it could be some jump squats. And just so where they're not fun, okay? So if you're doing 30 seconds of all of these exercises back to back, that would be 2.5 minutes of training. So now, most likely, you're pretty knackered, pretty tired, and you need to have a rest. So therefore, for the next 2.5 minutes, you'll have 5 other exercises which all take 30 seconds. But these ones are meant to be a lot easier, so that even though you're doing something, you're actually still recovering. So that could be marching on the same spot, walking the same spot, walking around or jogging in a circle. Could be very slow, controlled squats. You might even have, for example, it's got 2 examples here. Yeah, again, gentle jogging on the spot, or even just holding a plank. Now, I read this from online somewhere, and perhaps you're amazing at doing planks. I can tell you from me personally, a 1/2-minute plank hold is not low intense, and that's pretty tiring for me. But hey, that might just be me. So if that's low intense for you, then you can do that. So right there, you've got another 2.5 minutes, and that will be in total with the high and low intense training, 5 minutes. So at that point, if you want to hit your half-an-hour session, what you do is you do that back to back 4 times, okay? No break in between, and you just go. And in theory, when you finish that off, you've now had 25 minutes, including the 5 minutes warm-up. And now you simply have to go and do a warm down for 5 minutes, more stretching. I'm not gonna lie, I think in my entire life of lifting, I don't think I've ever done a warm down. I'm not saying copy me, I just haven't done it. And let me know in the comments if you personally do warm downs when you train. I'd like to see what the ratio is there, but I don't. But you know what? You might find in 10 years time, I'll be sat here saying, you know what? I'm now buggered and now I'm doing warm downs. So who knows? Okay, so we've gone through some potential lists of exercises to do for this high intensity interval training. And of course, there'll be many others. You can look online for that. You might include some rowing action or whatever, but just look online. But what tips would I give to you if you want to start this, especially if you're a beginner? And I think I'd say always start on the easy side of this. So what I mean by that is, I mentioned before doing 4 rounds, 20 minutes. When you start out, maybe don't do that. Maybe do just 1 round, or maybe 2 rounds. Or it could be that in between each round, you don't go back to back, you instead have a minute rest. Just go easier. Let's say if you found it hard doing 5 exercises for half a minute each, well, don't do that. Just do 3, do 2. Don't do half a minute, do 20 seconds. So always start easier and work your way up. It's completely fine. There's nothing worse, and I really recommend this, honestly, when you're trying to get into fitness, going too hard at the beginning. These things online which you might read are just recommendations. It is not a one-size-fits-all. You don't want to go in there, especially doing cardio-based stuff, it's very cardio-heavy. You don't want to go there, try it, you're completely killed, you're hating it, you hardly even make it through the whole session, you give up. And then all you're thinking is, for the next session in 2 days' time, I can't, I'll surrender, and you give up. Start easy, and as you get more confident, you're liking it, build it up. That's how you should be doing this with anything, not just cardio or lifting weights, anything, okay? And that should get better. I then recommend then you start to even include weights, okay? So after you've got very good at doing no weights, put some weights in. So it could be when doing a burpee, you've got some 2 kg weights and you jump up, or doing some rows with a weight. That's how you can make this tougher for yourself. Or take even say, make the low rest time shorter and the high intense bit longer. It's very easy to manipulate this to make it harder for yourself. Also really important that when doing any of these exercises, you try and keep good form, okay? I know that this here is more cardio based, so it's less for, say, building muscle, but still, if you've got good form, you're going to be using the muscles more, less injuries, and that's what you need. I can, and I might in the future do some videos on that, but if not for now, look online, look on YouTube, there'll be millions of videos on this kind of stuff. Other things to watch out for, stay hydrated, trust me, this kind of stuff, you're going to be sweating a lot, okay? So keep hydrated. And then just be consistent with this. There's nothing worse than you doing a few sessions, you think you're doing great, you then take a few weeks off, come back, and you're back to square one. Don't do that, it's all about consistency. And as a final tip, I just want to repeat what I mentioned earlier about don't be afraid to increase the rest time. Okay, I know I mentioned this previously, but I just remembered right now an actual anecdote from my own training. So I'll mention this to you. And you know, I've been training for many years, and even I can make this mistake, so just watch out. But recently, I've been getting into running, which I haven't done too much in the past, but I've been doing more of it. And as you guys might do from now and then, I went online, I found a little routine to do. I think it was a get sub 20 minute 5 mile run. That's pretty hard, I'm not sure I'm even close to that yet. But anyway, I did that. And one of the days said, right, get on the treadmill and do some intervals. Let's do an 800 meter run. And there was actually a mistake actually on the spreadsheet, but it said run at a pace where you complete a 1 kilometer in 3 minutes and 15 seconds. So that's, I think, roughly around on the speed for your treadmill would be, I think, 18 or so kilometers per hour, I think, roughly. Okay. Anyway, if you never yourself got on that pace on a treadmill, that's really fast. It's almost like a sprint. Anyway, so I'm on this treadmill running at this pace, and by about the 600 meter mark, I'm not too far off finishing. I'm absolutely knackered, okay? I'm so tired. And this was the first of, I think 6. We're going to do 6 rounds with a 1.5 minute break in between. And at that point, I thought, come on, I can't give up. Everyone said, don't give up, being a wimp, just go through it. So what happened? I think I actually pushed through. I might have given up a bit from the end. Anyway, I kept going, even though I knew my body couldn't handle it. And guess what happened then? Because I did that, I went too hard for what I could handle. I didn't look ahead to the rest of the workout. I took the 1.5 minute rest, maybe even 2 minutes. And then for the next one, I did think, okay, I went too hard. Let's go a bit slower. I went down to a lot, sir. It might have been 15 kilometers per hour. I lasted about 300 meters and then gave up. And that was the end of the workout. I then had about 5 minutes of bent over, just collapsed there essentially, because I went far too hard. The moral of the story is, if you're trying to copy a routine online and you realize it's very, very tricky, it's okay to kind of on the 30 sessions just to go, you know what, I'm going to not do this. I need a bigger break. Don't feel obliged to do exactly what they say. Do what works best for you. And it might be that by not following them, go easy the first few times, and then simply after that session, each time try and beat your last session. Okay, that's all it's about, beating your last time. Don't just go too far to start and just burn out and hate it. So yeah, that's been point one. So what are the main advantages for doing this kind of fitness, this HIIT training? And there are, I would say, 5 or 6. The first one is time saving. It's been apparently researched that you get the same, if not better, results from doing a HIIT training session than doing longer steady state training, such as, let's say, an hour-long run outside on a treadmill. So you can, in theory, in 15 to 30 minutes, get more out of it than in 60 minutes. So that's one thing, time efficiency. Secondly, and I'll double check right now, apparently you can burn more calories. This is due to something called the afterburn effect. So after you've done your exercise, it can increase your metabolic rate for hours after. And apparently it's known as excess post-exercise oxygen consumption, okay? EPOC, EPOC, I presume. So therefore, that's another reason. You're going to be burning more calories, and as a result, burning more fat. That's the third reason. It's a great fat loss solution, this. Fourth one would be it will improve your cardiovascular health. So that'll be your heart rate will decrease and also lower blood pressure. You will also find that you will build some muscle. Now, I'll come back to this a bit later on my personal verdict on this whole thing, but you will still make some muscle doing this from just doing body weight stuff and some weights. And lastly, as the benefit, you can do this at home and with little to no equipment. That's a massive benefit for you lot who potentially might not have a gym membership or want to get fit in your own home. So what's the target audience for this kind of training? And I would say it's the following. It's beginners to intermediate athletes, let's say. We're all athletes here. So people who are getting into this, that's ideal for you. Getting to the hang of getting, moving around and doing something. Again, those of you who are time constrained individuals, haven't got much time, this is perfect for you. Those of you who want to lose weight, I think there's definitely the fun way of losing weight as opposed to going for massive long runs. And then finally, if you're someone who wants to just try something new, then this might be for you. Which leads me on to who is therefore not really ideal for this. And it will be basically bodybuilders and people who want to do strength training, which has been essentially what I've been doing in my entire life. Hence why I haven't really been doing this kind of stuff. But for those individuals, this probably isn't quite for you, okay? And I mentioned to you now why it's not. Because for building muscle, the main 2 ingredients are the following. Progressive overload, going heavier each time, and also you need your recovery. So you're not going to have much progressive overload doing the HIIT training. Sure, you might be doing more press-ups or more jumps, more body weight stuff. You might have more getting bigger dumbbells, but you're not really going to be lifting in your home, most likely doing massive heavy squats and deadlifts in 30-second high interval things with 5 other exercises. That's not going to happen. That one. And secondly, again, the recovery. If you're going really heavy on a big squat session, it's probably highly unlikely you can the next day be jumping around for half an hour doing this kind of stuff. So those people, is probably not for you. So what's my overall opinion on all of this? And what's funny enough actually is, come to think of it, and actually after doing this research today, I then actually found out that I actually have done a bit of this years and years ago. I think about 12 years ago, if not more. And it was this YouTube channel called Six Pack Shortcuts by this man called Mike Chang. I'm not sure if you've ever seen that man before do videos. You might have, you might not. But he was doing these home workouts, leg workouts, doing single leg lunges and step ups. And basically I did it for a month or so back in the holidays, back at school. And it was good. You know, you would sweat a lot and you'd make some lean muscle, but it wasn't going to ultimately get the mass I wanted. So that's my opinion on this stuff, okay? Again, I've mentioned who it's for and who it's not for. So just briefly, for those of you who want to know a bit more about the muscle side of things and what to do for muscle growth, I can give you at least my opinion and what I've done over the years right now. So I've done all kinds of stuff over the years. I've done the usual 8 sets for everything, hypertrophy. I've gone up to doing 12 reps per set. And I've done the heavier stuff for getting stronger, doing 5 reps on each exercise. I've had routines where I've done 5 reps followed by 3 reps heavier and then a 1 rep at a max. That was my strength training. I've also had ones where I've done, let's say on a back day, for example, I'll do, the first exercise is for strength, where I'll do 5 reps on the exercise. Then I'll go on to do the next exercise. Let's say I've done 5 heavy reps of rows. Then I go on to do 8 reps for more hypertrophy on lat pull downs. And the last exercise might be 12 reps for more of a pump. I've done that kind of stuff and that does work well. But I'll tell you what I do right now, okay, or at least for the last few months. And it might change, but this is what I do now. I do actually only 2 sets per exercise. And in those 2 sets, I make the first set a heavy one, so normally about 5 to 6 reps heavy. And my second set will be around the, let's say 10 reps or so, maybe 10 to 12. And the rationale behind this is the following. I think you need to have both the heavy stuff in there, okay, the 5 reps are heavy, but also the lighter weights for reps. Because I've done, actually, as I mentioned, I've done both these different types individually. I've done just heavy and just hypertrophy. And all that happens is, in my experience, when you get heavier, okay, you will get stronger much quicker. That's simply a fact. I might have looked in the mirror not as great, let's say, but I was really strong. But what happens is you then go, okay, I've got stronger, but I don't have those popping muscles that I want. But then when I do only the hypertrophy stuff, it's kind of the opposite. You end up plateauing, because if you keep hitting your 12 reps, at least in my experience, you don't just keep going, all right, it's got the weight now. And now again, 12 reps, up the weight, I've done 8, next session 12. You end up plateauing. I find that going heavier, it's just a different experience, lifting a heavy weight and feeling that pressure, that tension. That helps you get up the weight. So what I do now is I have the heavy one to kind of force my body to adapt and improve, get stronger. Then the back off sets, doing more reps to actually kind of build that kind of, like get the blood in the muscle. So that's what I do. And again, in case you're wondering why I need 2 sets, surely that's far too few. And I'll put 2 things to someone who thinks that. Firstly, it's why do 3 to 4 sets? Every look online, I've watched thousands of videos over the years on lifting, and many of them talk about 3 to 4 sets. Why? Why is there some magic number of 3 to 4 sets per exercise? I just don't see evidence why that's the best thing. And actually, there's people out there like Mike Mentzer, etc., who talk about actually do 1 set to failure and you're sorted. And I'm kind of half agreeing with that, in the sense of, if you have gone to failure and your muscle has been completely, you can't anymore, what's the point of doing another one? That's at least my opinion. Yeah. Could be wrong, but this is my experience. And then secondly, it's about the total volume in your workout. And even though I only do 2 sets per exercise, in total per body part, I do a lot more. So here's an example. Let's say I'm doing my chest day. Well, I'll do 2 sets of the incline dumbbell press. So you've got a heavy one and a lighter one. But then afterwards, I'll then go and do some dips, 2 sets. I'll then go do some recently dumbbell kind of pullovers, but I use the close your elbows in, so you feel like you're or I think my chest. I'll have some flies, 1 set high to low, 1 set flatter. I'll do some flat machine press. So anyway, by the time I've done all my little 2 sets for like 6 exercises, I've still done 12 sets on my chest. It's just that I rather focus on more different angles of my muscle than just doing 4 sets of flat bench press, 4 sets of flies to be done. You're missing potential good angles and contractions. So that's why. And then finally, linking back to the HIIT side of things, let's say you want to get bigger muscles, but also you want to lose some weight too. Well, I do the following. Just have lower rest times, because that will end up being similar to what we're discussing with the HIIT, the higher heart rates. So I have lower rest times. We're talking more 45 seconds a minute, tops. And then you can even, when doing this, do things such as drop sets and supersets. So a superset is where I've done an exercise, and the second I finish that, I put the weights down and then do a different exercise. So, and you can be same muscle groups, different muscle groups, up to you. I've done in the past, say incline dumbbell press, followed by immediately a lighter weight for incline flies. Recently I've been doing tricep push down with the cable, followed by immediate bicep dumbbell curls, say hammer curls. So again, the different body parts there, but still is fine. So that will then, and by the way, when doing that, trust me, you get really out of breath. It's pretty tough to keep going non-stop. And a drop set is simply a case where you do a weight, and the second you're finished, no break, you lower the weight and you keep going. And I do that about 5 to 6 times until by the end of it, I've got nothing left. It's literally just 1 kg on the machine, or if I'm using a barbell, it's just a bar. So my example could be bench pressing, I might stop my weight, and then every single time when I can't anymore, I'll go to the side, take off a weight from each side, and go again. And by the end, I'm literally doing the 20 kg bar until failure. And literally, it's quite humbling. You're there struggling to get literally this bar up. So that's what I do now, and I find it works quite fine. I will be changing it in the future because that's just good practice. You must let your body get used to one thing. But if you haven't tried that, give it a go. I think you might like it. So that's all from today's episode with me, Nate, at Elevate with Nate. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, then please give it a like. I much appreciate that. And follow the channel if you haven't already. And as ever, leave in the comments what you've learned in the last 24 hours. It's Nate. It's been great. Onwards and upwards.